Hey, welcome back, fellow heathens. So, I know it's been a while since I've posted, but we're going to be doing a new video, which is great, and it's going to be a predictions video for Avengers Infinity War, which comes out next week. And my friend Tim here is going to be joining us, and we're just going to riff off of some stuff. We're both huge fans of the cinematic universe. I'm a huge comic book reader as well.
I'm not.
He doesn't read the comic books, which is fine. Because the cinematic universe does a pretty good job of at least doing good Marvel storytelling, at least better than it's ever been. So we're just going to jump right into it. Alright, first thing is first. So plot and the order of events. So I know all of you have probably seen this trailer already, and if you haven't, what are you doing here? You just probably leave. We're just going to be talking, so if you want to alt-tab this and play a game, or maybe you're driving to work, that's fine. Just listen, that's cool. Where will the movie leave off? Do you mean where will this movie leave off?
Yeah, so that's like one of the things that I'm really kind of curious to see what it's going to happen is what's the situation going to be for all of the Avengers and just Earth in general at the end of the movie. And the reason why I'm wondering that so much is because it's pretty much been made known based on like a ton of crap that I've read and watched about this movie that they don't want it to be viewed as two parts of one movie. They really want them to be kind of viewed as two separate movies almost. And
really?
one of the things that I wanted to bring up, and I know we're going to talk about, is there's two Marvel movies being released between this one and Avengers 4 next year.
Right.
And so I'm kind of wondering what's going to be happening, or like where do those movies fit in the timeline?
Yeah, because it's going to be really weird if some sort of global catastrophe happens in this movie and then we skip to the antics of Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, like
that would be
Thanos
strange.
just killed half of everyone on Earth, but Ant-Man's up to his normal antics with my favorite Marvel character ever, Luis.
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 Well, I mean, I'll take him over Shuri any day, for sure.
Oh yeah, disclaimer, our opinions are our opinions.
Yes, and
so.
of Black Panther and its characters in film, I did another video on here already. You can see that. I wasn't a huge fan. It was okay. It was fine. Calm down. I know you're rushing to the comment section super fucking quick, but relax. It's an okay movie. I just didn't like I didn't like the humor, and Shuri's character was annoying as shit. And I wasn't a fan of her. And we just watched a clip that was shown on probably some late night show, or maybe it was like Good Morning America or something of Shuri going over Vision's body and saying, why did you install it this way? And they're like, oh, well, it's all we thought of at the time. And she's like, but you could have done it this way. And they're like, we didn't think of that. She's talking to Bruce Banner, mind you, one of the smartest people in the Marvel universe. And this girl's just, it's fucking lame.
That is a concern of mine, at least with her character, is they're going to make her seem like the smartest person in the entire universe. Yeah. And
you dumb colonizers.
Yeah.
You don't know shit.
Yeah. We won't go there. But yeah, you're going to have potentially her in the same room with the likes of Bruce Banner, Stephen Strange, and Tony Stark. Right. You cannot convince me realistically that she can trump all of them as far as intelligence goes.
She won't.
I mean, I'm not saying she's not smart.
No,
I'm just saying I fear they're going to make it seem like everyone else is an idiot.
Yes.
And she's the only one who knows what she's doing.
Yeah, they're going to play it up because, strong female lead in a film, and that's, of course. That's, we'll get into that too, but I have never cared about Black Widow in these movies. I like her in certain comic books when she's actually doing more of the spy gig, but her in Avengers role, like storytelling, has never made sense to me because she is like a C-tier hero, and it's like I would watch the fuck out of a movie of her and Hawkeye doing their level stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that would be fucking rad. And we didn't see any Hawkeye in any of these trailers now that I think about it.
No, then that I know a lot of people have...
I didn't even think about that.
A lot of people have, like, mentioned, where's Hawkeye? It actually became, like, I guess a meme in a sort. Where somebody photoshopped Hawkeye into every position of everybody on the poster. But One of the things
that's amazing.
One of the things I wanted to bring up real quick, I've read like a lot of crap on Infinity War because I'm actually really excited for it. But one of the things that I have seen said is, when are we going to get a Black Widow movie? And so I just find it a little strange that there's people who like to give Hawkeye crap because they're like, why does being a good archer allow you entrance into the Avengers? Well, Black Widow's on the same level.
I completely agree.
She actually has less skills than him because she's not an archer.
Fucking
but
dude, preach.
But
I can't.
She needs her own movie.
I can't fucking stand that. And I get it. It's because they have to have an A-list celebrity actress, a female on screen who is doing things, but you set her next to Scarlet Witch, and you're like, why are you even here? She's smart, she's capable, she can do a lot of kind of cool stuff in a bubble, and what's going to be interesting is how they write her into things, but I feel like a lot of the writing for her characters in a lot of the Avengers movies is really contrived, and she only shows up because they have to do something with her. So I'm not a big fan of Black Widow. Scarlett Johansson's great. I loved her in Ex Machina. I like her in movies. I even loved her in Ghost in the Shell. I don't like her in these movies because her character's kind of dumb.
I always liked Hawkeye. Real quick,
I love Hawkeye.
Just because I
love Hawkeye.
I like Jeremy Renner.
Dude, fucking Super Nintendo. It was a game called Captain America and the Infinity. Was it War of the Gems. It was called War of the Gems. It was a side-scrolling beat-em-up. And you could play as Hawkeye, Captain America, Vision. I think Vision. No, Iron Man was in it. Vision might have been in it too. I can't remember. That game was fucking rad. And I remember when I was like maybe 6 years old. I'm like, this dude with the bow is awesome. Because Hawkeye was obviously one of the characters in it. And ever since then, I've always liked Hawkeye as a character. He was kind of like a Gambit for non-X-Men readers, I think, because he has a certain set of skills that are not Omega level abilities that some of these other characters have, like Thor and shit like that. But Hawkeye's great. I hope he has a role in this movie. Did you see that clip with him on Jimmy Fallon where he's playing the piano and he's saying like I
think so.
He was riffing on an Ed Sheeran song. I think it was really cool. But yeah, Hawkeye's cool. We need more Hawkeye. I hope he's in this movie.
I love the fact that like the internet is apparently really pissed off that he's been not shown in any of the promo material. And the only thing I've read about it, and this comes from Wikipedia, so this could I guess be honestly subject to not being reliable, but they just said that during this film he will be on a, in quotes, special journey. So he'll be in it. We just have no idea in what capacity.
He's gonna.
So we could
change genders,
that.
maybe. Is that his special journey? It's modern Disney, and after what they've given us with Force Awakens and fucking Black Panther and Last Jedi, I'm not gonna put any of that crap past them. That he's gonna transition. That's not a serious prediction,
right?
But
maybe I think I wrote as my prediction just off the top of my head is maybe he's searching for the Soul Stone. Maybe they kind of send him out looking for that.
So we'll get. So let's frame that. So we've seen in the trailers that he possesses the Power Stone.
We're talking about Thanos.
Yeah. He has the Power Stone and he has the
Space.
Stone. Yeah, Space Stone is what they're calling them, stones in this movie. I got to stop saying gems, but.
I think the viewers will understand.
They'll appreciate it. The Space Gem.
Or they'll just unsubscribe.
Is what I call it. But the Space Stone. Section. They will. They do that anyway, because I shit talk...
Because you didn't like Black Panther.
Social justice bullshit.
Yeah, let's talk about... we'll go first, I guess, with the stones or gems in which he may...
So I'm looking over here because we have notes. So if I'm like looking in that direction, it's because there's notes over here. So yeah, he has the Power Stone and the... Space Stone.
Yeah, those are the two that are clearly visible in any of the promo material, at least that I've seen.
Right.
And based on, I guess both trailers, realistically, we know that he's gonna take the Space Stone or the Tesseract from Loki, which I believe that's gonna happen very early on, and I'm calling it now. That's where he's gonna kill Loki.
See, that's where I'm a little like, I don't know, because Loki can't really, in the comics, I don't know how they're going to do in the movies, but Loki can't really be killed. I mean, he can, But he can't. So it's. I mean, I guess you could say that about every superhero in the comics. But really, he in Norse mythology, Loki is reincarnated.
He's going to be
many different
killed.
ways. So we're gonna do. I would, yeah, air quotes, killed. I don't know what they're gonna do with Loki. Maybe he, in the comics, he does this to Nebula. Thanos does this to Nebula. He puts Nebula in a state of life and death between the two, living in constant. I don't know if you'd call it agony or not, because it's hard to describe. But he puts Nebula in that state, so I wonder if he would do that to Loki, as kind of a narrative. They could give a narrative out for him.
Yeah, some kind of like limbo, eternal banishment type ordeal.
I could see that happening, or hey, they could just kill him. They could just be like, well, the cinematic universe, we know it is different from the comics anyway, so they could just kill him.
I mean, what was it like? Was it the first Thor, or I think it was the first Thor where he died and then inexplicably showed up on Earth?
Right.
So
that's what I mean. Like, you can't really count on death in anything related to Marvel.
Yeah. Although they've said, like, it's going to be a heartbreaking movie. I've read that...
Yeah, I read that too, and I know certain actors want to be done with this and move on to other projects, and they've given interviews. I think Chris Evans and Chris Evans.
Chris Evans has confirmed that
Tony's
fourth movie.
I'm calling him Tony Stark. Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
I think probably wants to be out as well. I can't recall if I read that, but I did read about Chris Evans.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate because he is fucking badass as Captain America. Okay, so 2 gems acquired. He's clearly the rest. I don't know how much of this movie are they going to spend acquiring the other gems, because if they're basing this off of the 2, from what I've gathered, it looks like they're basing this off of 2 different stories, probably 3 or 4 different stories dealing with the Infinity Gems throughout Marvel's history. They're going to be doing the Infinity Gauntlet on one hand, and then his left hand, and then they're going to be dealing with the Infinity War arc that happened in 2013. And I think they're going to meld a lot of those elements together. So at the beginning of Infinity Gauntlet, he already has all the gems, because in Infinity Quest and in some previous works in the 80s that were leading up to the Infinity Gauntlet arc, he was trying to acquire the gems and learning about them and all that kind of stuff. But Infinity Gauntlet opens up on page 1. He has omnipotence. He has every fucking gem. And then the story then is about the forming of the Infinity Watch and Adam Warlock, which we're going to cover in a bit, and it goes from there. So in this one, it looks like they're doing parts of the Infinity War arc from 2013, where he forms the Black Order, which that's also in Infinity Gauntlet, but they're taking elements, is what I'm saying. They're mixing a lot of elements. I don't know how much of this movie they're going to be spending going through all of these different locales, gathering all these different stones, and then we have one battle at the end. I kind of don't want them to do that, because I feel like every Marvel movie follows that same path of progression. It's a slow climb, gathering stuff, and then inevitably the heroes win at the end. We know there's a sequel, and they said this is heartbreaking, but you're saying they want it to be 2 different movies.
Essentially,
that are kind of connected.
It's like almost like 2 different stories in a way. I was just watching like an interview with the Russo brothers who were directing both films, and they said like when they first like announced it a while back, they called it Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2, but then they took out the Infinity War Part 2 because they don't want it to really be thought of. It's one big movie that's just split up into 2. They wanted to think of Infinity War as its own movie and story, and then whatever Avengers 4 is going to be it's like a continuation, but it is also its own movie and story. That's what they said in their recent interview.
So they're going to be 2 separate arcs that they're trying to tell, but they're going to have consequences between the 2. So it's going to be similar to previous Avengers films, probably.
Yeah.
But they're not doing just one big Infinity arc between the 2 movies. That's weird.
I don't know. That's what I'm not sure. That's why I asked the question. I wonder where this film will leave off, and I wonder where the Ant-Man and Wasp and Captain Marvel films are going to fit in the timeline in between this one and Avengers 4, because with like Avengers 1, they won the Battle of New York. Sure, that was pretty devastating, but it was also one city in the world, and then they just all went their separate ways and did their own stuff. I find it hard to believe that Thanos and his army are going to come to Earth, and it's going to be like, hey, he left for right now. Things are okay. Let's go
for right now.
Let's go back to everyday life, you know, because he's out in space getting the other gems or whatever. So that's what I'm saying.
Oh
like,
my God, I fucking love it.
I wonder where it's going to be at when it's done.
So, okay. We don't know how this movie's going to end. We know, I'm hoping, just putting it at the very beginning, I don't want to spend the whole movie trying to find the gems. I think this should be resolved in the first hour. All that should be resolved, and then we need to go into him becoming this big power. Also, so you have to... The problem with Thanos in a cinematic depiction is... And do you remember the Justice League movie?
I never watched it.
Okay. Well, in the Justice League movie, you had Steppenwolf, who was this basically lower level functionary of the greater powers of the cosmos. Like, he's nothing compared to, like, Darkseid or anything like that. But you spend this whole movie kind of building up to him, and the battle is completely fucking dumb in that movie. It's a waste of time. It's just... It really felt like quickie sex, and not even like good quickie sex. It was just like, okay, we're done. I'm moving on with my day, and I didn't even remember having it that morning. That's what it felt like. This, I don't want to be that way. I want, with Thanos, he has such power and capability in the comic books that it takes galactic elements that are not just the Avengers themselves. It takes Adam Warlock and the Infinity Watch to take Thanos down, and also other elements as well. Black Bolt plays a part in one of the arcs too, but mostly that's with the arc with Thanos' son Thane. But I don't think they're going to do that in this movie. So Hawkeye's missing. We don't know what's going on with the Soul Gem. We've seen the Power Gem, the Space Gem, the Mind Gem, and the Time Gem.
The Reality
Gem.
Yeah.
Who has the Reality Gem right now?
That is with the Collector.
Oh, that's right. The Collector has the Reality Gem. Okay.
I'm kind of surprised that at this point, like, at the point of Thanos coming to Earth, like, he's clearly dealt with the Nova Corps because they're the ones who had the Power Stone.
Yes.
I'm kind of surprised he hasn't already also gained the Reality Stone, which is being held onto by this just dude.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so we're skipping over stuff with the Nova Corps. I don't know if we're including anything with the Inhumans, and I don't know if we're going to even talk... My ultimate hope for this film is that there's a big reveal for Adam Warlock, but then if you do that, we know that there's a Captain Marvel movie coming. Disclaimer, I don't like Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel has not been interesting since ever. I don't know, personally, any other comic book readers who have been fans of Captain Marvel. And personally, I know she has fans, especially before she was social justified in the new books, and she got really fucking preachy. But in the older books, she had kind of a story arc, but her whole, basically, my only interest in her was her relation to Rogue in the X-Men. So I don't really have any interest in that movie, and I don't know what that's going to touch on either. Now, if you do Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, if you do a movie for her, is that going to involve Adam Warlock? Are you going to introduce him at that point? I think that's a stupid idea. But also, if we're saying this is a contained film, he has to get all of the fucking stones, and then, I guess, get them all taken away?
Yeah.
And then there's another element, death. Death is a huge element in Thanos' arc, you know. She, whatever, is this force of nature that when he first gets the Infinity Gauntlet in the books, the reason he destroys half the galaxy is because it felt that the galaxy was overpopulated and it would succumb to starvation and pestilence and plague and all this horrible stuff, and that it was off balance. So Thanos destroys half the galaxy for her, or universe, actually, for half the universe for her. And That's a huge element. The thing with this movie is if you're going to do the Infinity Gauntlet, omnipotence, if you have every one of these gems, you are omnipotent, you are godlike. How then do you have just these Marvel characters that we have go up against that? You see yet another fucking scene in a trailer of all of these people running against I'm assuming the Outriders that Thanos possesses in the scene, in another battle in Wakanda, another ground battle. And you're saying that you're thinking there's another arc in the film where Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy are running around getting Stormbreaker?
Yeah, so real quick, this is what I think's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure the movie is gonna, and this might be like, we talked about this before we started recording, like, I don't want to state obvious stuff.
Yeah.
But I'll just say real quick, I think what's gonna happen is it's gonna follow 3 separate factions of people. I think there's going to be everyone who ends up in Wakanda, like Captain America and Black Widow and all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tony Stark and like Doctor Strange and all of them are going to be out in space because all of the footage, almost all of the footage of them has been on what I guess is Thanos' home planet.
Yeah,
and maybe. I think as a third little side plot that's going to be happening is I'm betting Thor is going to spend the entire film with Rocket and Groot finding his new weapon. I don't think Thor is going to factor at all into any of the fighting.
I would be so pissed. I think so pissed.
In Avengers 4, he will. But that's my bet. That's my guess, is that Thor is he's gonna get his ass handed to him in the beginning of the movie and hurtled into space.
God.
And found by the Guardians, and then he's gonna go off with Rocket and Groot to find his new weapon, and if he unites with everyone, it won't be till the end of the film. That's what I'm predicting.
Would be so mad if they underutilized him in this movie, because Thor is my favorite superhero. I mean, all my friends know that, and the people out there probably might know it. You might assume, but Thor is my favorite superhero, and I would hate to see yet another fuck up with him in these movies, because I've said this to you guys a lot. The cinematic universe has really done a disservice to the Thor brand, to the character, to his mythos. You have moments of cool with Thor, and Ragnarok was a good movie because it really wasn't the previous Thor movies. It was more of like, here's a fun summer blockbuster with laughs and like there's space stuff and there's a little bit of Thor sprinkled in there, but that to me still isn't a good Thor story. Walt Simonson's run in the 90s and even J. Michael Straczynski's run are still my defining examples of good Thor. Even Ages of War was really good. But you still if you're going to do him losing Mjolnir, and he's lost Mjolnir multiple times, and it's been reforged multiple times in multiple different ways. It was actually taken to a Pittsburgh steel mill in one of the comic books, and it was reforged in Pittsburgh. So we have the ability to reforge it with his mystical powers. That's Uru metal. That's what it's called. And now you're going to rob Beta Ray Bill. We're going to rob Beta Ray Bill of the axe head of his axe, and that whole storyline. We're gonna make some sort of amalgamation for him for these movies, just as a kind of another one of those wink and nods to Marvel fanboys like myself. As like, hey, you remember Stormbreaker? The problem, Disney, is that we don't want a wink and a nod. We want you to actually do that story. When we saw the fucking battle planet in Thor Ragnarok, and you see the fucking big Beta Ray Bill statue on there, I was like, are we gonna get Beta Ray Bill in this movie? And we don't. So, kind of fuck you. And I'm kind of, if they spend this whole movie just making Stormbreaker, and I've seen the toy, I saw the fucking, it's a haft of wood attached to the thing. I bet it's just going to be a piece of Groot that Groot gives himself, or whatever, to use as a handle for Stormbreaker. I don't think that they're actually going to forge. Maybe that might be a temporary thing, and like the true Stormbreaker is something that they build towards at the end. But even then, it's still not any greater necessarily than Mjolnir is. So it's kind of like, why don't you just reforge Mjolnir? Why do you have to go with the pseudo ultimates looking version of Thor's weapon? And I don't like that at all.
Yeah. Well, I know they wanted to the thing they did with Ragnarok was they really wanted to redo everything, and I guess it's because the first two Thor movies were not great.
Yeah,
I'll just say
they weren't.
I'll just say they weren't the best.
They weren't. No, I liked the first one because it had that kind of new Marvel charm, like the original Iron Man did. Like you were like, oh, this is neat, and they didn't have a lot of the budget that they had, but they were trying. I can appreciate it on that level, and it did have some cool elements and set pieces, but the second one was completely forgettable. Thor: The Dark World was just terrible.
The thing with the second one that I always laugh at is, if I'm thinking correctly, that is, since the first Avengers movie, that is the film that had the biggest possible catastrophe that could happen. That ended up no fucking Avenger.
Oh yeah, there was no
came to help out.
Yeah, no,
Winter Soldier was pretty bad because it was like Hydra has infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. and could kill like millions of people.
That movie. It's still my favorite Marvel
literally, Dark World was like, this guy's gonna try to destroy the planet.
Yeah.
And no one else comes to help.
Yeah, no one showed up to give him a hand. It's like, Thor can handle it.
Yeah. And
and Jane Foster.
That's where the most forced relationship in any of the MCU.
It was
I love
really
Natalie Portman,
movie.
but it was just I wish she would come back.
She's a much better actress than that movie let her be.
Yeah.
As is usually the case with these kind of like fanboy films. You know, they don't really use the actors or the actresses the way that they should be.
One
like
thing
I thought what's his name? The actor for the Hulk.
Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo. I thought his acting in that leak or that clip or whatever was pretty lame.
Oh yeah.
I didn't think that was very good. Where he's trying to explain Thanos.
Yeah.
He's like, no, he's got like powers. He sounds like a drunk hippie that just walked in off the street telling them about Doom.
He was pretty traumatized from his experiences in Thor
Probably,
Ragnarok.
sure.
But real quick, one other thing we can mention because we were talking about weapons is the new shields that Captain America has, which it's kind of like whatever. But,
I don't like him.
But his whole thing is...
He looks like a mole.
His whole thing is throwing his shield.
Right. Are they rocket propelled?
Probably not.
Because that would be lame.
At that point, you might as well not even give him shields.
Exactly. Then why even give the cool thing about him throwing that shield was his acuity, his accuracy with it. You know, him being able to see and bounce that thing off.
It was insane.
Oh man, it was so cool.
Just leave him with his luscious flowing hair and his beautiful beard.
He's
now.
got a great beard.
And that's it. Like he doesn't need these vibranium.
Vibranium, yeah,
vibranium shields.
So he's got it's weird mole
he's gonna be
hands.
punching. He's gonna just be punching anyways.
I don't like those. They look weird and un-Captain America. That's the thing. And his whole outfit.
Is that anything at all from any comic book source material?
Nothing that I know of. I mean, he's had a ton of different weapons and stuff. He's had different shields and stuff, but nothing like
because they say like he's technically like his persona now is the Nomad, which I guess is basically, I don't know. Like I don't read comics, but I've read stuff about Marvel. Which I guess, like, the Nomad is apparently, like, a persona that Steve Rogers takes on after he...
Yes.
Something like that.
Kind of, yes.
I also guess he was supposed to realistically die in Civil War.
Which would be stupid, because that wasn't even a good...
But does he die in the comics in Civil War?
I thought I read something he gets shot in Civil War, and he gets killed. But they... jiggery pokery it around to where it's not actually that wasn't actually Steve Rogers and the real Steve Rogers is somewhere else. That's the way that they work that out.
Very bizarre.
That's a very comic book. They do that shit all the time. Death means nothing in these comics, and that's what I hope about these movies. But where I'm going, so the Nomad arc is that was something that he's gone through. But I don't fans didn't like that. Why are they doing things that people didn't like? I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for all the fans, obviously, but I was never a fan of that. A lot of people that I knew personally at the comic shop at the time, we weren't fans of that kind of Captain America. Like current Captain America, where he's like this Nazi who's seeing, Antifa and fucking, Trump supporters as like these fucking, we're just so relevant commenting on our social commentary. But that in that arc for Captain America, it's not Cap. It's not Cap. Cap is supposed to be the symbol that you look up to as he is the shining beacon of what a human should strive to be. We can't be Thor, we can't be Superman, we can't be Doctor Strange, not necessarily, unless, you know, fucking the Vishanti and all that shit happens, but we can't become that. But maybe through some science we can drink a serum and embody the values of Captain America. Anabolic steroids. We'll get there. Pittsburgh, make it happen.
They're not... I don't think they're calling him Nomad. People have just said, like, this kind of seems...
Reminds me of
it. But
he's in all black.
He's just more of just... He's just a rugged Captain America who's tired of having to... I guess, in a way, tired of having to take orders, and he's going to do what he knows is right.
So what are they doing with S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I don't even know if that's a factor anymore.
Like, did they just delete it because of the events of Civil War? Like, or like how...
It was pretty much destroyed.
Winter Soldier.
It was destroyed, pretty much.
Yeah, so... But the show is still going on, and I don't watch the show.
As far as I'm concerned,
I've heard good things, but I don't watch the show, so I don't know if that's something that runs congruent with the MCU or not. You guys can let me know in the comment section. But if that's the case, if they're this kind of like seedy like spy element now, and not really like a big, you know, massive organization, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to factor into it. Is Samuel L. Jackson in this movie? I heard him in the trailer.
Yeah, well, I mean that was his like original speech from the first movie.
Sure.
I'm sure he's gonna make an appearance.
He has to.
He has to.
Yeah.
I mean,
if he's there, then S.H.I.E.L.D. has to be in some element.
He is as central to the MCU as Tony Stark. Yeah. Honestly.
No, he is. He's very ingrained in people's psyche.
And they've also said, I think I read somewhere like Maria Hill's supposed to be there. So
cool.
If Maria Hill's gonna be
I love Maria Hill.
Then
she's
Fury is going to be
She's awesome in the comics. Like, that's a woman you can put on screen where I'm going to be like, yes, because I've loved a lot of her storytelling, and they don't put her in too many situations that are beyond her scope because they write her character to know that, whereas these writers just throwing Scarlett Johansson at us like, look guys, it's Scarlett Johansson, she's the Black Widow, remember her? Like,
I know, like, in the first Avengers film, whenever she like hops on that spaceship and flies to the top of this, that was like one slip and you're dead. you're just dead.
Your fucking shock bracelets aren't gonna save you.
It's like, why wouldn't you have like Thor go up and do that instead?
Yeah. And I'm sure there's been some comics out there that I've never read about her that have just like, well, actually, she can, you know, blah, blah, blah. But we can't go off of any of that because the movies clearly have started a whole new thing.
And it definitely, they've reached like a point, too, where it's like, she doesn't do anything particularly special aside from she's very good at hand-to-hand combat and martial arts.
Yeah.
At least Hawkeye...
Yes.
Has a skill that he can kill from a very far distance, but she's always up in the thick of it. And you're gonna be in a battle with hundreds of thousands of alien monsters.
I just thought of something else they don't do with his character in the movies too. He's actually extremely good at building machines, specifically a lot of projectiles and stuff like that. Like he uses different boomerangs and all this kind of stuff. Like he's just really, his hand-eye coordination can't be matched by other humans, or he is at least at the top of that list. So then they don't do anything with him in that regard. They kind of just make him like, he's the dude with the bow. Well, he can actually do a lot more.
Yeah. In all reality, too, like, they can only cram so much into a film. But it is kind of like I just love the arc that his character has gone on from the first Avengers film to being just like shit on completely,
keep pushing him out of the screen.
And I guess like he was ready to just opt out of his contract because he was so pissed with what they did with his character. And then
I'm with him. Jeremy Renner's an amazing actor, and I love him as Hawkeye.
They had to do that whole family arc thing. In the second movie,
which he just kind of abandons at the beginning of Age of Ultron. Anyway,
they
were like, "Nah, I'm fine." I was like, "Wait, didn't you have a family thing you were doing?" Nah. Wait a minute. And I think they wrote him that way so that they had an out to get rid of him, which is kind of shitty because Hawkeye has a lot of diehard fans. I'm not a diehard Hawkeye fan, but I like Hawkeye, and I don't want to not see him in there. Mostly, I think I love Jeremy Renner. So
Yeah.
I just want him on
No,
screen.
I've seen him in many other films before Avengers 1.
Yeah.
And
And
so when
have
I
you
found out
seen-
like he was in it, I was like,
Have you seen Wind
I
River?
don't like it. No.
It's fucking amazing. It's a great crime movie, like a crime mystery. It's really good. But anyway, so we have a whole lot of superfluous stuff here, but we wanted to get to the Black Order and his group, this posse that he runs with, that Thanos runs around with, I should say. So you have Proxima Midnight, you've got Ebony Maw, you've got Glaive?
Corvus.
Corvus Glaive.
Yeah.
And now they're calling him Cull Obsidian, but he was known as Black Dwarf before.
Yeah.
And the group was called Cull Obsidian, but they changed that. So now it's saying it's the Black Order. So you've got this posse running around. They're going to be doing stuff. We saw there's a clip out there that was probably on another late night show, but we saw a clip of Corvus and Proxima Midnight getting their asses kicked by Falcon, Captain America, and Black Widow.
Yeah.
Which, again,
Scarlett Johansson.
they're okay. These people, I mean, they're dealing with literal immortals here who have superhuman capabilities, but Scarlett Johansson can handle her. And I'm sorry, we're not gonna keep harping on that, but that really fucking bothers me. But anyway, they dispatched
I feel like
them.
you're gonna probably keep harping on it.
It's
gonna keep getting.
I don't think I can.
I'm not gonna bring it up.
So they get they beat Corvus and Proxima Midnight. What part of the movie do you think that's in?
So my theory is in that first trailer, there's very clearly this scene where Vision is pinned to the ground, and I guess it's Corvus Glaive, and he's like jamming his glaive into the Mind Stone that's
like,
in his head, and so it's like, holy shit, this is where they steal the Mind Stone from Vision and potentially kill him.
Yeah.
I think this is gonna probably be relatively early on, because this is what I think will happen. That's gonna happen. I think it's like Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive are like ambushing like Scarlet Witch and Vision, and they're in the they're attempting to take the Mind Stone, and then that's where Captain America, Black Widow, and Falcon are gonna come in. That whole fight scene in the clip that we saw will play out, and then I think what's gonna happen is they will fend off those two, and then they will take Vision to Wakanda for safekeeping,
And
in a sense.
But we know that can't happen.
Can or can't?
I don't think it can. I don't think that he survives that scene. Personally, I think that is the scene where they take the mind gem. But
he has it in Wakanda, so then you're saying.
So I'm thinking that scene takes place after they're in Wakanda. I think that's post Wakanda.
See, I don't know if I can agree.
Or while that battle's going on, maybe there's something going on in some installation, and then that's where that happens. I don't know.
See,
Because
I don't know if I would.
What about that scene sold to you that that's when the fight happened?
So
'cause we never see Vision fight at all.
So a couple of reasons. I think it's the first trailer. There's a scene where Proxima Midnight throws her like spear, and it's Captain America in the shadows.
Yeah.
And he, dodges it, grabs it, and Scarlet Witch sees him, and she's like so relieved that he's there. So I think that's
you're thinking that's
like his introduction.
I see.
I think that's his intro. I don't think that happens in Wakanda, because I think in Wakanda they're all obviously in the gigantic climactic battle, and I think by the time that battle wraps up, they're not going to be in much of a shape to fend off the Black Order. Cap could very realistically die or get killed. I'm always going to use air quotes for this because we don't know.
Sure.
But he could get killed by Thanos in that that insanely epic scene where he's holding him off at the end of that one trailer.
Yeah.
But I think that's Cap's introduction in the film. That's basically like the intro.
You mean when he's in the shadows earlier?
When he's in the shadows,
okay.
I think that's like I bet you don't see him until that point. That's also probably the intro for Proxima and Corvus.
Okay.
And I just think like that's just what I think.
Yeah, no, that
be.
tracks. That being the reveal for his character tracks. Why else would you shoot someone coming out of the fucking shadows like that? But also, we've seen in plenty of trailers where they have shots that aren't even in the movie. So I'm possibly, yeah, I could see that. What I'm wondering is Vision on the ground there. You know, Corvus
Why
Glaive.
do I think they don't get it?
Yeah, like why do you? What makes you think that that's an attempt on Vision and an unsuccessful attempt at that?
Well, I guess mostly because I don't think it happened. That's in Wakanda, and we clearly see from other trailers that he still has that stone in his head in Wakanda, and he's being analyzed by Shuri.
Okay.
With that stone still in his head. So that and the fact that I've watched a lot of trailer breakdown videos.
Oh, okay. So this is more, a lot of like an amalgamation of information.
Yeah, pretty much. I just really think that it's an unsuccessful attempt and an introduction to the Black Order for those members of the Avengers.
Okay.
And then I feel like
yeah, because they're gonna have to splinter off. You're gonna have like little groups of this group throughout the film doing different stuff.
Yeah, I think the way like Civil War left it is Captain America broke out of prison like Black Widow and Falcon, and then they just went off, and no one knows realistically where they've been. And I've read that this Infinity War is supposed to take place roughly 2 to 3 years after Civil War, which is why Cap looks so different.
Rugged.
Yeah, he looks so rugged and manly and
handsome,
like the greatest thing.
Beautiful.
Oh man. But that's my theory on that.
Okay.
I'm sure by the end of the film, they're gonna get the stone from Vision.
Well, yeah. I don't see them.
I don't think that's it though, for those reasons.
Like I just don't see them. I think Vision. They're gonna have to kill him. In that way, so I think that's a good segue into another topic for this film. Who dies?
Which, okay, and I just thought of this. Maybe rather than calling it who dies or gets killed, we could think of it as who's definitely not going to show up in Avengers 4.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's basically the same.
Because whether or not, like, we were talking about Loki can't really be killed, okay, but I'm pretty confident in saying he is not going to be in the 4th Avengers film for whatever reason. So, I
could see that.
Here's my big ones. Loki, 100%.
Okay.
I 100%.
So number one, you're saying Loki.
He's done.
Okay.
Vision is another one.
I'm with you on Vision.
Scroll down on the thing real quick.
Okay.
I just want to see who else
Oh, here we go.
Okay. I threw this one in there, Nebula, randomly, because I think Nebula is going to be part of that group with, like, Iron Man, where they're fighting Thanos in space. I'm pretty sure, like, she seems like a pretty expendable character. That you can kill.
I mean,
off.
she dies in the comics, quote unquote. So
yeah,
I could see her dying, and plus that gives Gamora a little bit of a
more motivation,
revenge motivation. Yeah.
I'm hesitant to say Captain America only because Chris Evans has said Avengers 4 is my last film. So to me, that means in some capacity he's gonna be in there. But I think Winter Soldier might end up getting killed.
Oh, man, that would suck.
I
He's
guess,
already died once, though. Can you do that trick twice?
I mean, they threw Black Panther off of a cliff and then didn't explain at all how he came.
That's because the Black Panther wasn't a great movie. But
the last one, it actually, I'll throw it out there. I'm going to say Tony Stark. Maybe Tony Stark is going to be done data after Infinity War. He cries in the one trailer.
In the trailer, yeah.
And he looks like he gets his ass handed to him by Thanos.
So I'm with you on. I'm gonna give you Loki. I'll say that because unless he decides to join Thanos or for some because he gives, it looks like he gives Thanos the Tesseract.
Yeah.
The Cosmic Cube. So
possibly to try to save everyone on the ship.
Potentially, but it's Loki. So,
true.
That's the thing about his character. He's always working an angle. So, I don't know how that's going to play out, but I could see him dying. Because also, Thanos is very whimsical, and he'll just decide he wants to kill something, and he just does it. Captain America, right? So I'm going to go no with you on that, because he's signed on for 4. Tony Stark, I'm going to say no, because Tony Stark is, especially in Asian markets, I mean, but also here, he is a glue for these movies, and people go to see Robert Downey Jr. I don't think they're going to off him in this movie. If they did, fucking bold strategy, Cotton. That would be huge.
That's kind of why I throw it in there as this is the one
that
where
would shock me.
You know what? I don't want to think too much about it. I'll just Hail Mary it and say I think he might die in this film.
That would shock the hell out of me. Falcon, no. I think him or War Machine. I think one of them will for sure.
Yeah.
But also War Machine, we had an arc of him rehabilitating himself, so I don't think that's going to happen.
It's the perfect story. He comes back from an accident just to be ruthlessly murdered.
Well, I don't know. Like I think it's more atypical of Hollywood to do that in a film and then have him come back as someone capable.
Yeah.
Like especially with the diversity message of like, you know, just you're not handicapped, you're handy-capable. I'm just saying that you could see that being the reasoning for this. Like this subversive subtext is that War Machine already went through trauma, and they're not going to further traumatize him. Even though most of the audience has no clue who Randy Rhoads is, or gives a shit about War Machine.
I think you're
another
right.
sin of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Fucking War Machine is awesome, and I love him in the fucking books when he does a lot of his solo stuff. But the movies, I get it, it's crowded already. You can't do big arcs for these characters, but you underutilize the hell out of War Machine. Plus, Don Cheadle, I never liked Don Cheadle as War Machine. He's way too, like, small.
Did you like Terrence Howard?
I kind of like Terrence Howard because he had the attitude, but Don Cheadle's just really, he's old, and he's thin, and he looks sickly. And he doesn't, I mean, maybe that is the kind of like, no, he's in a suit. I don't know. We're going to let that slide. Winter Soldier, no. I don't think you kill Winter Soldier. I don't think you kill Bucky. I think if they kill people off, it's going to be someone like Hawkeye, unfortunately. I think it's going to be Vision and one of the big ones. I think Thor is safe. Thor's safe because he's a god.
He's not even going to be a factor.
Because he's not even be a factor. And I'll just... but either him or Captain America. Well, no, it can't be Captain America. So Tony Stark.
It could be some random thing with Captain America, but
we know Ant-Man gets another movie, so it's not him.
That's another character that hasn't appeared in any.
He's in a poster.
Stuff.
Yeah, he's in a poster.
Oh, he
like,
is.
Yeah, he's on the main poster.
He's in like an individual poster, but yeah, no.
Well, no, he's on a big group one too.
Really?
Yeah, he's on the big group one. He's.
We'll have to look that up.
Recessed,
later.
but he's on there. That was one of the problems I had too. Is they put Doctor Strange way the fuck in the back, and yet they had Black Panther's Michonne from Walking Dead way up in the fucking front. I'm like, what the fuck is she gonna do?
I don't remember her name at all.
I don't either. I know her as Michonne.
I'm not saying I didn't like her.
No, she was cool.
But I actually don't know her name.
No, I don't either. Because she was so inconsequential. Like, I know King T'Challa.
I'll just call her Michonne.
Because Black Panther's awesome. And I'm going to say this about this movie. I hope it redeems him. I hope it actually makes him kick ass. Because the last movie, he spent the majority of it getting his ass kicked. So it would be nice to see Black Panther actually do Black Panther shit in this movie.
Well, if it's the Black Panther of Civil War, it's going to be awesome. Which it very well could be. Because it's the same directors.
Yes, please. That would be the shit. Awesome.
Yeah,
yes.
It's the same directors.
Do that. Because he was such a badass in Civil War. And then in his movie, he was just kind of like, but my country and stuff. And then I can't do stuff suddenly, but I can now. And then CG fight.
Well, it was like it was bizarre because it's like, oh, it's his, like, in a sense, coming of age story, but we've just seen him in a movie where he was a total badass.
Yeah, you can't go back.
Yeah,
but we're still in the present.
It felt kind of like it backtracked.
Yeah, it backtracked a hell of a lot because you already established that he was assertive and a badass, and then like his father died in that movie. And then he had his own little arc. It wasn't big, but it was enough to make you care about the character. Anyway, we'll move on from that. So you think Spider-Man's safe, Ant-Man's safe, Black Panther's safe, all the Guardians of the Galaxy except for Nebula. I'm with you on that. I think Nebula dies.
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch, you think she's safe?
I will say she is safe
because of the revenge mission.
Because I think Vision is gonna die.
Yeah.
And she will be out for vengeance.
That's a good arc for her.
I think I'd read somewhere where she's one of the Avengers who is capable to stop Thanos.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, she is definitely an Omega level.
Or that might have been us just talking about this.
It was probably us, but yeah. I mean, the internet would agree with me. But she is amazingly capable and powerful.
She is one of the people who will be necessary.
Yeah.
To stop him. Not knocking on someone like Falcon, for example, but it's like
he's gonna fight the little
go kill the aliens while the big boys and the big girls come to the table to handle Thanos.
Yes, that's exactly it.
And that's just being realistic.
It is. It's true. Falcon's going to be handling, lower level functionaries like the fucking alien people. But even in that too, I don't know if they're going to show them having the kind of tactile telepathy ability that they have. If they're going to show them having flight, and they're going to
be faceless aliens,
or if they're just going to be fodder that blows up on the screen.
They are going to be 100% cannon fodder.
I think you're going to have a scene where you have to sell them being an actual threat. So I think you're going to get a scene where maybe they read someone's mind and figure something out about the Avengers.
And then that'll be it.
Probably.
And then it'll just be hundreds of them, hundreds of thousands of
Lots
them on
of
the screen. We don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, it's just computer graphics blowing up on screen.
And I said Thor will obviously be safe.
Thor is safe. Yeah, I agree. Thor's safe because I think Chris Hemsworth still wants to do. Or he's still game to do more movies. I believe. I
read that he wants to, but I think he's
leaning.
He'd be open to it.
Down
the road. It's probably
if they do better Thor movies.
He said he likes that character. He likes playing Thor.
Good. I'm glad.
But
I like him as Thor.
Yeah, Spider-Man should be very obvious. Spider-Man and the Guardians are obvious because of their sequels.
That's another thing we didn't even touch on is the Fantastic Four or the X-Men. None of that's none of them were really huge elements in a lot of the Infinity War arcs, but they were. They did have involvement in them. So that's where I'm like, this is untimely because we just got the deal between Fox and Disney.
Hey man, there's gonna be a whole string of movies after this is over.
A reboot of Fantastic Four.
It's just like Kingdom Hearts, where they're ending a saga, and think of all the possibilities.
I've thought about them, and I want to kill myself.
I'm pretty sure that's gonna get cut.
No, that stays.
No, we have to leave that one in, and then show Rusty.
Just. Hey guys.
All right. So, did you have anyone on that's not of those that I wrote?
No. No one that I can think of because again, I don't know how they're going to incorporate Adam Warlock. I don't know how they're going to incorporate Black Bolt.
A pretty good surprise reveal because they have
it would be awesome.
They have it totally set up like, oh yeah, well he's obviously just going to be in Guardians 3.
Yeah.
So if he shows up beforehand, I guess much like how Black Panther showed up in Civil War.
Or Nova.
That would be awesome.
Or Carol Danvers.
Yeah.
Or any of these other elements that they have planned forward if they're going to show up in this movie.
I don't think Captain Marvel shows up until the fourth one.
Okay.
Which transitions us to the next thing we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Which is
the tie-in movies.
So, yeah, so there's the two movies that are coming out between Infinity War and Avengers 4, and that is Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just very curious to see how are these tying in terms of chronology. Because, again, Thanos has
world-ending consequences.
Thanos has come to Earth.
Right.
But I don't know, man. We've only seen him in Wakanda and New York, and that's it. So maybe it will be like Avengers 1 where, that sucked for that area. Life's going to continue for a bit.
Everywhere else.
But we've seen a trailer for Ant-Man and Wasp, and it seems like it is the same level of, I guess, reality in a way that the first Ant-Man was, where it's Ant-Man, and of course it's superpowered type stuff with technology, but it's also kind of small stakes.
Yeah.
It seems like it'll be a small stakes kind of movie. So
well, that's Ant-Man.
So and that's the other thing. If Ant-Man takes part in this fight against Thanos,
he has to.
Then it seems really weird that he just goes back to, now I've got an Ant-Man specific problem.
Yeah. Versus,
Thanos is still alive.
Yeah.
And we're all probably gonna die.
Like, give me a sec, I gotta do this side quest before I get back to the main quest. That, yeah, I could see, which would make no sense.
So, I wonder if specifically for Ant-Man and Wasp, if it's gonna actually take place before the events of Infinity War. They might do something like that.
I could see that. You've seen the trailer?
I saw the trailer. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because Wasp says, like, oh, we didn't break. Why didn't you just get me to break you out or whatever? And so we know that at least it does happen.
Oh,
it's
after Civil War.
So we don't. But we don't know if it's between that and the new Avengers. This movie. Maybe that was stated somewhere. I don't know.
I don't think it has been.
So,
but it could have been.
So they're gonna have to work that in, and then Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, I think, is going to take place, but actually between the events of the Infinity War and Avengers 4. That might be where, like, I don't know, maybe like Thanos and all this stuff happens on Earth, and then he goes away. Which that's another thing we got to talk about is where's this movie going to leave off?
Yeah.
But maybe
we'll end it that way.
Maybe whenever Thanos is, like, the events of Infinity War have resolved themselves to whatever extent that will be resolved, then maybe before we get to the conclusion of this Thanos story, Carol Danvers is some random person and she gets her origin story and she realizes, oh, I can help this problem that has been going on or something like that.
I have all these amazing powers.
Yeah.
She's basically Rogue before Rogue.
Maybe that's where we'll see the Soul Stone. I don't know.
That would be so dumb.
Maybe they'll throw... I don't know. Like, because I don't know any of the source material.
No, I bet that movie's going to flop. Unless they do some really clever marketing, I don't see that movie doing very well.
But that's my thought. Ant-Man and Wasp take place before Infinity War. Captain Marvel takes place in between Infinity War and Avengers 4.
Okay. That tracks. I mean, you could easily do that, but then again, how do you sell this on, well, if this is a prequel to the movie we just saw, speaking of Ant-Man, how is that going to track well with people going to see the movie? Like, oh, so this happens before the crazy shit I just saw, and now we're going to be caught up by Avengers 4. That would be strange if they did it that way, so I'm hoping that, but it also sucks the other way, because then if you do it post whatever events happen in this movie, where New York, yet again, gets fucking destroyed in some manner of speaking, then we have the hijinks of Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah. I mean, it would be...
It's going to suck either way, kind of. The time thing, it's unfortunate. This movie should have come out before this movie. Or, I'm sorry, Ant-Man should have come out before Avengers.
Yeah, it seems very kind of bizarre that they have releases
and that's this summer, isn't
in
it?
Between. Yeah, it's like, I think it's like 2 months or so after, it's in like June or July. It's not long after Infinity War releases.
Man. Well, I don't know about that. So we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. But, so, to end this, the last topic of discussion is where this movie ends, leading into the next Avengers movie.
Yeah.
The events that transpire here. So considering all the people who die, all the people who live, then what stage are you on for this next film?
So, taking into the fact that you're going to have these 2 movies released before Avengers 4, and now this interview that I just watched with the directors saying we want it to be like their own, like it's 2 separate movies, it's like they're their own stories. Granted, you're seeing the continuation of these characters at least, but realistically Infinity War is its own story, and then whatever they're going to title Avengers 4 is its own story. I think it seems weird to do this, but it really, logically to me, Thanos is going to show up on Earth. He's obviously in pursuit of the Time Stone and the Mind Stone. I'm gonna guess that he's gonna somehow get them, and then
so he gets the gauntlet complete, gains omnipotence.
Not complete, because he still has to get. I think the movie will end with he still won't have the Reality Stone, which the Collector has. Okay. Which is really weird that he hasn't just gone and gotten that.
Maybe the movie starts with him having a quick line about, good thing I stopped over at blah blah.
But you never see it.
Right.
but you never see it on his gauntlet.
Right.
So that's why I'm thinking, like, he probably will end the movie with not having it.
That's true.
And we don't know where the Soul Stone is. I don't know if we're going to even get any indication of it still in this movie. Where it is.
Man, that's risky.
But I guess my quick thoughts are, I think it'll end with him going off to find that Soul Stone.
Which would have to be something to do with Adam Warlock.
Yeah. But the other thing is, like, why would he leave Earth and not kill literally every single person there?
That's my thing. He has that's his thing. He goes from planet to planet, fucking raises the civilizations, or at least half of them, and moves on. That's what he did. That's what he does. It's his thing.
Because when they title it, and I guess this is what they want to accomplish, but if they title it Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2, then the assumption is it's going to be an absolute direct continuation. Yeah. So it might end with, like, oh, he's about to kill literally everybody.
Yeah.
Years and years ago, I joked with some of my friends about this, where I said, the way I want them to do it is I want them to spend Part 1 2.5 hours just exposition, building up everything.
Yeah.
Literally no action. Just
exposition. No one would put up with that.
Just a bunch of exposition, and then Part 2 is just 2.5 hours of just
fighting.
Fight.
Okay, so you want Return of the King.
Pretty much.
Okay, yeah.
But
which is fine. That works great if you could pull it off.
Yeah. But but now that it's clearly not going to be called Infinity War Part 2, although how big of a dick move would that be?
Man, we're going to just sum it up in one film. We've been building to this event for a decade.
I've read too that apparently there might be an even bigger villain than Thanos featured in Avengers 4.
I mean,
I bet this Mistress Death does show up.
So if Death shows up, or if you get into the High Evolutionary, or you get into maybe the Watchers have something to do with it. Maybe Eternity or the Celestials. I don't know. Like, you can go higher than Thanos, but at that point, it's unfair for me, I suppose, because it's like I know what Thanos is capable of doing and what he then does to those entities. So yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to do the actual Infinity Gauntlet / Infinity War arc, or if they're just going to go, we kind of made this, we wrote this on a napkin, when we were at dinner one night, and this is what we came up with.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I feel like they've had plans at moments, and they've completely not stuck to those plans at some point, because things kind of feel off. Like, again, Ant-Man and Wasp coming out after is weird.
It is.
Unless that was intentional and they have a bunch of explaining for that, which will totally alleviate any of our worries, I'm sure.
Or it could be just like Kingdom Hearts and they're literally writing it as they go. They make it up. The writers don't even know what's going to happen.
That is fucking... if that happens, then this whole Marvel Cinematic Universe will be relegated to the trash can. All the Blu-rays fucking get thrown away, and I will send them to Japan, where nonsensical writers can write more nonsense.
But yeah, to sum it up, I guess it seems weird, but I don't know how else it would end other than him leaving.
Yeah.
To go search for the remaining stones.
I'm with you. But I'm hoping in this movie that at least by the end of it, he has accomplished the vast majority of this gathering. Or
I'm sure he'll have 4 of them.
Because what's throwing me off, man, is that there are toys and stuff out there of the Infinity Gauntlet for this movie that have all the gems inside of them. So yeah. I don't know if that's just because why would we give you only this gauntlet with 3 gems or whatever, but at the same time, it's like
So
if you're gonna spoil Stormbreaker, I feel like you're gonna spoil the gauntlet. And if you're doing the whole gauntlet, then you have to get all the gems. And if you don't get all the gems, then you're kind of shitting on the people who have been hyped about this film.
They'll bring it up. I mean, that'd be like the biggest cock tease to not ever have the Soul Stone show up.
So the Thor movies, yeah.
Because it's like, well, they've clearly slowly revealed the existence of the stones, and the one that is still not been revealed anywhere is the Soul Stone, which I guess is supposed to be like the biggest one.
Yeah.
And so we still have no idea. That was another gripe we kind of had with Black Panther is I think a lot of people were really expecting to get some kind of indication that
for Infinity War or yeah.
Or
we didn't
anything.
We didn't get
But,
anything out of that.
So obviously it's still somewhere out there in the cosmos,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like Thanos will probably have acquired the stones from Vision and Doctor Strange, and he'll probably be off to go and get.
So,
because
you see in one of those scenes, Doctor Strange being interrogated by Maw, Ebony Maw. So, and Ebony Maw, in the books, he convinces Doctor Strange to summon Shumagorath, which is the Marvel equivalent of Cthulhu, essentially. But it's from the Sumerian universe, from Conan the Barbarian and all that shit. He is summoned from that or alternate reality, essentially, into the Marvel reality. And Doctor Strange is then mind-controlled by Ebony Maw in the books to do this other shit. And I don't know if they're going to do that in the movie, because you see him with those fucking like needles and shit going into him, and I'm like, okay, well this has some parody to what goes on in the books. They're not going to do Shumagorath, obviously.
No.
There's no way they're going to spend that much budget on doing a big CG eyeball with fucking tentacles. I mean, they're not going to do that, because that'd be weird, I think, for this movie going audience. So yeah, I think we're going to end it there. I think we've said a lot of our predictions for it. I think it's going to be... I'm hoping that it's going to be at least serviceable for the arc of all of these movies, and that I don't feel ashamed to own it like I do Iron Man 3 and Thor 2.
I read somewhere a while back. I just read a lot of crap.
Judging by this, you've read a lot.
I read somewhere that there are actually going to be like a lot of things from all the movies being brought together and connected. So
a lot of cool little Easter eggs and nods. And,
I think that they're gonna do a really good job of tying everything together, and they gave it to the Russos, who
they've done good
arguably are the ones who directed the two best movies in the MCU, aside from Avengers 1.
Yeah.
Because Age of Ultron was kind of lackluster.
It was lackluster.
It was lackluster.
Yeah.
But yeah, Civil War and Winter Soldier were fantastic.
Yeah. And
movies.
they didn't do the first Guardians, I don't think, but that one was amazing too.
But
those are probably my 3 favorites. Alright guys, thank you so much for joining us and listening to us ramble on about nerd shit. The movie comes out next week. We will do a video review. It will be, just the two of us. We might bring Rusty for that one.
We should actually.
We should probably bring Rusty with another friend.
We're gonna do Steak and Shake afterwards.
We have our tradition where we go to Steak and Shake, and then we'll have our discussion there, which I'll record to give us some ideas for doing the video. But anyway, so we'll do a video review.
I'll write notes.
You'll write notes, and we'll get back to you guys then. So thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you later.
All right,
Take care.